Hi guys, so this is Joey O'Rowan, and this is the first in what will be a few videos about the more serious side of Samhain, Halloween, the Witch's New Year. And the first video I thought to do sort of branch out into all these different little bits and pieces, and I thought I'm going to have to do a video for each because each requires specific mentioning and delving into each little subject a little bit deeper, so there will be a few of these. And the first one I wanted to talk about was honouring the dead, your ancestors, should you call them, is the primary focus. So I'll grab my notes. The seriousness of Samhain should not be ignored. A lot of my videos will be a little bit more fun, a little bit lighter, a little bit joyful. I do show off the little Halloween decorations. I enjoy that sort of thing. I think that Samhain is a very joyous time for me. It's my favourite Sabbath, and I want my home to reflect that. I want my videos to reflect that. I love it, and it gets me excited, and I love decorating, and I love this and this, but there is of course the serious side of Samhain, and at no point during any of my fun silly Halloween videos has that been forgotten. So Samhain is Witch's New Year. As such, witches and Wiccans who celebrate it, not everybody celebrates it, but I do, get very excited. It's a time when witches are celebrated, and I think that ties into why a lot of witches enjoy it so much, because that one day of the year it's more joyous and celebrating than there is judgment about being a witch. I think that's a very important thing to a lot of witches. It is to me. Now, the Sabbath of Samhain is one of duality, as far as I'm concerned. It is about life and death. It is about endings and beginnings. It's about looking forwards to the oncoming year, and I will do a video about looking forwards with divination and things that you can specifically do on Samhain, as well as looking back, looking at the past, honouring your ancestors. And this is what we're going to primarily cover in this video. I think I will have a completely separate video for a whole avalanche of ideas about how you can honour your ancestors, and then a little bit in another video for me as well, if you're not... I'm estranged from most of my family. So many of the honourings of your ancestors are specific, but then I'm going to go into more generalised things you could do as well. So that will probably be a whole video on itself, because there's so many ways, ritual, yada yada yada, that I will talk about a couple of things briefly in this video. So the veil is believed to be at its thinnest on Samhain, because as the god goes into the underworld, it's thought to thin the veil so that spirit work, it's easier for spirits to cross over, although there is a whole line of thinking that the god in his sacrificing going into the underworld holds back all spirits who mean harm. That is not to say at any point you should not set up all your protection and cast your circle if you are calling spirit. So because the veil is at this thinnest, it's an ideal time for looking forward to divination, excuse me, and honouring your ancestors. Now, when I started researching this, I realised that there are two veins of thought about calling your ancestors. Everybody says that this is the time to honour your ancestors, but whether or not you should call them to you, call them to your circle, is a matter of some debate, and I personally think this comes down to personal preference, personal choice, how you feel about this situation, how you connect with spirit, what feels correct for you. At no point in this video am I going to say this is the right way to do it, because I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right that anybody say, this is the time you call your ancestors to you and you must call them to you, and I don't think it's right for anyone to say you shouldn't call them to you. And I will explain both points of view. In a lot of widespread books, you will see that the generalised thing is to call them to you, to set up a circle and to call your ancestors with you to depart any information, any knowledge, and because you need to call them to you to honour them. And another vein of thought which I read about last year or the year before, and this seemed to make more sense to me, it seemed to resonate with me, is there are people out there who think that you shouldn't call your ancestors to you, because it's like demanding their presence. And the line of thought went like this: wherever they are on their spiritual journey beyond our understanding in the spirit world, on the process to reincarnation, if you believe in reincarnation, or they're in part of their next stage of their journey, that is where they are meant to be. That is where the goddess has guided them. That is part of their learning process, that they may well have left the earthly plane behind because that's what they needed to do. And by calling them back, you are hindering their progress, you are interfering with their path beyond the veil. That is not to say that you should not honour them. You can honour them without calling them, and that is not fully to say that you shouldn't call at all, because there may be ancestors who are still around, still watching over, still close at hand on the earthly plane, and this is a matter for you personally to discuss. And it might be wise to walk a middle line of balance whereby you invite any who are around and are your ancestors and mean you well, who wish to come. Now the problem with this, of course, is that your ancestors are always going to be tied to you through your ancestry line, through your bloodline, and they may feel obliged to come back more, that the obligation is there because you are family, you know, the ties of family going beyond the veil. So I read about this, and that to me sort of made sense. It sort of resonated with me. Like, I know that if it were me and I had moved on, but my ancestors, my descendants were engaged in a Samhain ritual, I would probably be interested in that, and I would want to go look, and if it did hinder my path, it might not be something that occurred to me, and I can see that line of reasoning. That line of reasoning makes sense to me. So, for me personally, I will honour my ancestors, and I will do a whole video about how to honour your ancestors, although I'm going to touch on a couple of points here, without pulling them back, without calling them back. And this is just personal preference. A lot of witches and Wiccans will call their ancestors to their circle. They feel comfortable with that, and that's entirely their choice. Me personally, especially given that I'm clairvoyant, sentient, and on my route to becoming audient, I'm in no hurry to disgruntle any ancestors. I want them to be where they are meant to be, without me interfering with them. That is not to say that I will not honour them, because of course I'm going to honour my ancestors and spirit. That is part and parcel of the whole Samhain Sabbath, which is tied into life and death. So a couple of ways that I did this last year, and I will expand upon that this year, is that there are two well-known things you could do which don't call your ancestors to you, but honour them. One is the leaving out of a plate at the dinner table for your ancestors. And people do leave food out for them, and some people leave it outside to feed spirits on their way to the Summerland, because it is believed that the veil is thinnest, so they could wander, they could get lost. And another thing about getting lost is people leaving candles in their window to guide spirits to Summerland. Now, if you're like me and you're a little bit concerned about leaving a candle in the window, because I have to leave it in here, which is our office space, our computer room. I can't leave it in my bedroom because there isn't a proper window ledge, and I don't really want to leave an unintended candle in here overnight. So my sister actually bought me a gift last Halloween which solved it entirely, which is this little candle here. Now, what's special about this little candle here is that it is battery operated. I don't think it's actually going to show up, but you can see that glowing there like that, and at night it glows just like a candle burning, and it's a really good, I think the picture on it is quite cool as well. And she got this from like a pound shop or something last year, and it was like £1 or £2 or something, and that's what I leave in my window to honour that aspect of Samhain, to leave a candle to guide spirits to Summerland in your window without that worry of burning your house down. And some people may argue against this, like this is modern technology rather than a candle, it's stepping away from tradition. Well, personally, to me, I think we are living in a different era. We should utilise the tools that we have available to us to incorporate everything that has gone before in our own way, in our own manner, in keeping with now. We can neither live in the past nor the future. We have to live with the present and try and bring our own world into keeping. We're trying to change our own world whilst keeping traditions from the past and whilst looking forward, which is the duality of Samhain as well. So for me, the candle in here represents the tradition of the past, leaving a candle in the window to guide spirits to the Summerland, with the technology of the present and with a sense of reason. There is absolutely no reason for me to try and burn my house down just because I have some sort of unwarranted guilt about using this sort of candle rather than a candle. There's absolutely no reason for that. Candles are a great way to honour your ancestors as well. You could, some people suggest that you light a candle for each ancestor that you are honouring. I will probably make 1 or 3 Maiden Mother Crone to honour all my ancestors, because I am estranged from my immediate family and I want to honour all those that have gone before all the way back. I'm a historian, I'm interested in more than just the ancestors that I know and departed, and whom I knew and loved and have departed. I'm interested in all of them, you know. I'm the sort of person who would love to see their family tree. I'd be interested. Whew. So this video is just about putting it out there, about thinking about honouring your ancestors, and also giving personal considerations to them. Now, some people will call their ancestors to their circle, and that is something they feel comfortable doing, and that's their personal choice. Just like it is my personal choice to think, well, I don't want to hinder anybody's path beyond the veil, so I will honour my ancestors as is right and proper to do, honour the life that went before mine, and honour death. You see, this Samhain is going to be particularly special for me because it'll be the first one where I honour the Morrigan, and it's her special time. It's to do with the crone aspect of any goddess, but the Morrigan, her special time is Samhain, and she is the watcher of the dead. She guides them to the other side. She is the washer at the ford and predicts death. So for me it's going to be a very special time to do with that, and that will be bringing into my ritual, my decorations, my honouring of the ancestors, because through the Morrigan I can honour all my ancestors, because she is the watcher of the dead. She is a link, she is a connection to my ancestors and to all spirits of the dead. That being said, if you are of the mind to call your ancestors, I have a few points on that. One, you should always set up your protection, your purification before your protection. So you should always cleanse yourself, you should always cleanse your space. I would cleanse the whole house personally, and set up your protection, set up your circle, and know your ritual inside out, etc. If you're a newbie, I would suggest not doing it. If you're new to it, I would suggest doing what I do, and I'm not new, it's just my personal belief, which is honouring without calling. I will go through all of that in a different video, in a video that talks about how I do that. So for newbies, I would suggest not, until you've got a few years behind you and you are comfortable in your circle casting, in your practice, etc. Because for newbies it can be a little bit overwhelming, it can be a little, you know, if you even get a little bit of doubt and negativity into your head, it can run amok with you. So stick with honouring without calling to you specifically. Whew. So, honouring your ancestors. I'm just going to show this candle again because I think it's cool. And another way was the plate. You can leave that outside. I will go through all of that in another video. In fact, I will do a video about how to honouring your ancestors. So we will call this one "Calling Your Ancestors?" ? Or just calling your ancestors, or should you? Something like that. So this is just my point of view. It's just food for thought. It's just, I know there are going to be a lot of people who do it one way, and this is just another way that I'm putting out there so people can think about it. You know, it just question it, think about it, just question everything, you know. And just because it's my way doesn't mean it's right for everybody. But then again, it might inspire some people who have been a little bit uneasy maybe. And this is something that you can do to honour your ancestors without calling them. So that's it for today, for this video. I will put together another video about how to honour your ancestors at Samhain. And many blessings.